Welcome back to Inside Criminal Minds, the series dedicated to dissecting the actions of the behavioral analysis units catching serial killers. If you're new to the series, there's a link in the description to catch you up. This episode begins with a father and son driving home from the movies, and to avoid the deer, the dad swerves out of the way as we question whether he sees it due to his son. And due to that, the tire goes flat, forcing the dad to leave the car. And we get into something that happens a lot in this series. Drugs can make people do or experience basically anything. In later seasons, it gets to be almost completely egregious. But the father hallucinates an evil figure as we see the kid left the car, making the father pummel his son accidentally, and they don't get found until the next morning, as a police officer checks up on him. Luckily, the child is alive, but badly hurt when the team goes over not just this event, but others as well, deducing they were poisoned. While on the plane, they discuss how the media should be handled and go through the profiles of poisoners. When they land, they have to clear the father's innocence, and Gideon meets with him, and he describes his wife's infidelity and the motive of attacking his son because of the rage he felt. However, we learn that he would have not done this, showing Gideon's excellent profiling skills and proving the father's innocence. The team figures out that the drug was LSD mixed with roofies, causing the victims to forget what happened, leading the team to moving towards that this was all just a prank, and have a lead to where everyone was dosed. However, this lead ultimately goes nowhere, but will cause a panic in the near future. And all this leads Elle to one of the diner's mother's girlfriend, and it looks bad for the boyfriend as she recounts the experience, alluding to a forced encounter when the boyfriend calls in an attempt to hide what happened, and since he was talking about things that were happening at the house, she goes out to look to see if they can find him, and luckily, before the boyfriend can drive off, he gets captured and questioned about the incident, and he does clear up the confusion and leaving the final profile of the killer to be the Avenger, someone who believes that they were wronged to the point of lashing out, and in this case, messing with a lot of innocent people. As the team give the profile, they talk about the specifics of the drugs and how intelligent the unsub is. Unfortunately, the news talk about the restaurant, but holds the name back, panicking the city to the point of hysteria, which causes the hospitals and police department to become swamped. With calls, however, with the silver lining, gives us another victim who was attacked with roofies mixed with something else, as Reed and JJ try to find out what's wrong with her. Ellen Morgan scan the streets near the cafe to try to find somewhere else the victims went and land on the bank for the potential target, which is confirmed by the security tapes when the most recent victim, Lynn Dempsey, is saying something like the N, right before she dies. And we find out through the security footage, she added candies to the bowl, and we find out the second drug Lynn took was botulism, the same as Botox, and if ingested is extremely dangerous, alluding to the unsub using botulism to kill the mass of the people. We then see a shadowy figure enter a pharmaceutical office, alluding to the office as the main target, and the team figure this out because it's where Lynn works, helping to narrow down the suspects, and Elle goes to the company to try to find something out about her, and that's when Garcia finds a chemist who was wronged, and they find his location. They breach the compound he was in, and the team made a huge mistake. The SWAT team pours tear gas into the compound, and they were using gas masks, but Hotch, Elle, and Morgan walk in without them. Just seems kind of weird. Plus, the unsub is a chemist, so he could have created something airborne to try to take out the SWAT team or our team. Just really weird. However, they find the unsub and bring him back to the station for questioning, and during the interrogation, we get a glimpse into Hotch's earlier career as a lawyer, even attempting to help the unsub fighting for his patent. This is also used in an attempt to gain the upper hand and the unsub's trust, and thankfully it works, and he reveals that the employee party is the next target, and Morgan, Elle, and JJ stop the partygoers from succumbing to the poison and and Reed figures out that the candy wasn't the only thing drugged, but the envelopes were as well, which begs the question, there are two things in a bank that you would typically put your mouth on, one being the free candy and the other one being the envelopes. All of these crack profilers, Reed with, a super high IQ, couldn't figure out that the envelopes were the delivery system, but it does make them assume that the party isn't the only target. However, the unsub unalives himself before they can ask more questions. Next, they figure a retreat the higher-ups are at is the actual next target and swoop in to save them just in time. As they leave to go back home, JJ asks Hotch about his career as a lawyer. It's extremely vague, but JJ alludes to a list of things BAU agents don't do after certain cases by not licking the envelope. This episode was okay. Other than Hotch's backstory, we don't get any character development and also almost no justice because the unsub unalived himself, but at least the victims are safe. I'm slightly upset that the little boy from the beginning of the episode is not mentioned even a little bit. I wish we could have known more about his injuries post-case, but I'm just going to assume that he's alright. Thank you for watching, and I have 2 series running, this one and Burned Notice, linked in the description. And with that, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.